this survival situation, I'm going to play that part of a lone canoeist who's lost his canoe downriver and needs to effect a self-rescue. Now I know in this situation the river bottom here has got a lot of floodplain, and it's a long ways from some local communities, and it's getting a little later in the day, so I've got a few priorities. I don't know if there will be any more canoeists or kayakers coming down the river, and so I need to probably get a fire going of some sort, possibly build a shelter, and then look at trying to find a way out of here. So, alright, I'm going to get to it, but that's the situation. Let's take a look and see what kind of stuff I have on hand. One of the things you need to do when you first find yourself in a survival situation is to use what a lot of survival instructors call stop. The S stands for sit, the T stands for think, the O stands for observe, and the P stands for plan. And the idea is that if you sit down in the situation and calm yourself so that you can think clearly, you can begin to assess your situation, observe what's around you, and begin to make a plan to somehow straighten out your situation. So with that in mind, my first thing is my first zone of assessment, which is to look at what I have on hand. And most importantly on hand is my Swiss Army knife. This is the Swiss Farmer. It even has a saw blade with it, and so I intend to make good use of that. Got a little cordage with that as well. I also have with me a container, cutting tool, now a container. I've got a metal canteen cup that I can boil water in and purify, so that'll work. We're going to be running out of that soon because it's getting kind of warm. I'm not sure. I can use my canoe paddle for maybe a walking stick or a shelter prop or something. And then I've got the pad of my safety vest, my flotation vest, and in it found a repair kit, which sounds like it's got some pieces in it, maybe some hooks and such. And so we'll have to take a look at that. Might have some uses for some of the things in there. So that looks pretty good for right now. And I think the next thing is to go out and see if we can find some wood so that we can make a spindle and get something put together for making bow drill so we can get some fire. So let's get into that. Looks like we've got some good standing dead willow over here. Let's see if we can get something for a spindle. That looks like it'll work. Alright, let's get to it. Another handy thing on the floodplain here that I have found is some more containers in case I need to haul some more water, and those need a little bit of cleaning up, but those should work for some storage. Searching around the camp, I noticed embedded in this tree an old machete, but it is buried so deep that I don't believe there's any removing it from that tree. The tree is growing up around it, but it might be possible as a resource. We could maybe dig it out of there somehow with some tools, but yeah, trying to find some good things. Gonna need some tinder for that bow drill fire, and these big old cottonwood trees have a lot of inner bark, and fairly dry, and this will make really good tinder. Alright, well, I need to also address some kind of shelter for the night, just in case I can't effect self-rescue by the end of the day. And so I've put together a debris shelter. It's fairly simple. Let me show you what we've got here. We've got, as you probably saw in constructing it, we're just taking advantage of this fallen cottonwood here, and we're going to just lay up some roofing rafters on this cross beam, and then put some leaf debris on top of that, and that'll make an effective reflector. We'll put a fire out front, and that'll work to kind of create a microclimate of warmth that will hopefully get me through the night. It's expected to get down into the 40s, so I think with a fire out front and build this up a little bit, we'll be in good shape. Alright, well, got shelter built. Got some dried grasses and such for kind of an insulation bed. And things are looking up. Gathering a few containers in case I need to gather more water than I can get in my canteen. We've got some dry tinder here that's even getting drier as it's sitting here in the sun. And now I'm going to make up a spindle and hearthboard for drilling up that coal. See if we can get fire going. Try to make it about a little longer than my hand. You can see the point on there. That's going to go into the bearing block, which I have to find and make yet. I've got the other end of it done here. You can kind of see it's faceted, not quite as sharp as that end, and that will go into the hearthboard when we spin it. So pieces are coming together. Let's get the hearthboard made. Okay, I've got my pieces made. I've got my spindle. Got the hearthboard, which we need to put a little divot in here before we can start. And then took a piece of willow. It's about the length of my arm, and my shoestring, my paracord, to make a bit of a bow. So now we'll be able to get something to spin that. I'll just put together some kind of a bearing block. Okay, got my bearing block down here. Just a little piece of wood with a divot in it so that I can bear down on the spindle. I think that's going to work pretty good. See, it's smoking real good there. So there's a good hot ember inside the dust. Now we're going to transfer it to our dry bird's nest of cottonwood bark. All right, woohoo! That fire. Got some shelter. Need some water. At least I got a roof over my head. Nice bed of straw. I think we need to get some water to boil and refill our canteen. Still got a little bit of daylight left, but fire feels good. Have that now. It shouldn't get too cold tonight, and it's getting really warm in the shelter here. Good backstop here, good reflector. Yeah, good to enjoy. Well, got some running water here, and since there are a lot of beaver in the area, I'm going to probably have to get this on the fire and get it boiled up so we can drink it, because there would be giardia in here. And I'm just going to put the cup downstream here. Get the least amount of debris in it. It doesn't look too bad. So I'll give that a try. Well, I'm going to try to address another one of the 5 basic survival needs, since we've already covered the containers and combustion and cutting tool of some sort. We're going to need some kind of cordage at some point. I know I've got my survival bracelet, but you can process a green willow fairly easily. And the bark comes off in these nice long strips. And so let's see if we can make some cordage out of that, and we'll get back to you. All right, well, I've made up some willow cordage here, and it's fairly simple. 2-stranded twist. Now I should have something that I could use to maybe make some snares or some deadfalls. There's quite a few rabbits hanging around in the willows over there. So, and there you have it. The key to making cordage, knowing what to use, is that it has to have some length, the fibers, which the willow does. It has to have some flexibility, so you can wind it around your finger, and it has to have some tensile strength. Take a little bit of stretching, and this is all adding up to very good natural cordage, willow bark. Very excellent, easy to process, comes in large lengths, and anyway, so there we go. Well, I completed my second zone of assessment, which is the area around where I am. And I was able to find 3 glass bottles for water containers. I was able to get some dead standing willow that I can cut down and make a spindle for a bow drill. I was able to also find a machete in a tree, which maybe with some work I might be able to get out and use as a cutting tool. And I've also got a plastic container that I'm going to be able to cut down and turn into a tool that just might get me out of here. Well, here's that little repair kit that I found earlier, and inside are some needles, and I think, if I don't miss my guess, it looks to me like some of these might actually be magnetized. You can see that they're picking up magnetically. See how that is attracted to that needle? So I think if we are able to find ourselves a little piece of flotation, like some punky wood, we might be able to make ourselves a compass. I've cut the bottom off of that pop bottle just to get myself a small plastic container. Need it to be plastic so it doesn't interfere with the magnetism of the needle. And I've got a small piece of kind of punky wood here that I think I can fashion a float out of. And we're just going to take that needle and push it through the center of that small block of punky wood. And now we should be able to float that on some water and see if we can get a direction out of it. Got a little water in there. Now let's see if we can put our needle in there and get it to float. Tell us which direction is north. Look at that. Swinging right around. The sun, I know at this time of day, is in that direction, and that's south, so this direction is north, and our needle is pointing north. So I think if we get into the shade later on, the sun is behind the clouds, I think we'll be able to use this to give us some direction, find our way inland and maybe to civilization. All right, I think it's time to get going. almost forgot. I don't have a crew to come back and get this camera.